In this video, I'd like to give you a quick demo of the Itheum Data DEX. It's built on Ethereum and it's built using Morales Web3. So before we look at the Data DEX, we need to first look at what Itheum is. So I'll spend a very quick few minutes just to talk about that. So Itheum has been in development for the last 3 years, and it's a general purpose user data collection and analytics platform. And it lets organizations build user data collection programs on it. It's got a few core features on it. It lets you build data collection programs. It has a fully automated chatbot, a highly granular task scheduler, for example, and a bunch of other features built in. It allows you to create what we call smart data types, which let you collect specific data points from your users. And it's got built-in insights and visualizations, irregular alert thresholds, amongst many other features. And we also have a personal data vault, which allows you to store highly secure information. So as I mentioned, this product has been in development for the last 3 years. It's initially started off being an open platform, which was free. But over the last few months, we've started moving into more of a SaaS model, providing our platform to any organization who wants to build user data collection programs. If you look at our case studies, one of the most successful programs we have is called the Red Heart Challenge. So this is a program that was built on Itheum with the objective of collecting cardiovascular related health information, and it provides a clinical research institute, for example, the ability to monitor cardiovascular patients. So this is the landing page, which explains what this program is and why you should join it, and how you can interact with the agent, and so on. We have a bunch of other programs that we have run as well on the Itheum platform. One of the most successful programs we have to date is called OK Pulse. Now, OK Pulse is an application built on the Itheum platform. It allows an employer to keep a proactive health and wellness check on their remote employees. And as you can imagine, this has been a really popular tool, especially now as the world is moving more towards remote working because of COVID-19. If you jump on our actual website for OK Pulse, you will see what it can do. It's got quite highly useful data collection in the form of mood checks, weekly check-ins. It's powered by AI-driven insights as well, which I'll demo very quickly. So you'll notice this entire program or this application was built on the Itheum platform. And that, in a sense, would give you an idea of what Itheum can do. It lets you very quickly spin up these kinds of applications that require structured data collection from an user. Now, I'll give you a quick overview of the portal for the core Itheum platform. In this example here, I'm looking at an organization's view of the OK Pulse program. It lets you onboard users into a program which collects a bunch of different sort of smart data types that we call. For example, you can set up something like a benchmark check-in, configure what kind of information you want collected. We also support other smart data type libraries like your blood pressure, all out of the box. So these are already pre-configured that you could use. So once you have configured your smart data types, you can launch a program. In this example, I'm showing you what a program configuration looks like, and you can control the structured collection of these smart data types at specific times for certain durations, and so on and so forth. And you can also configure curated education that becomes quite relevant to the program that the user is joining in. Now, of course, this is the collection of the user data. What we also provide is the ability for analytics. So in this case, all user data is surfaced up in an anonymous way, but with very powerful built-in analytics. So in this case, I'm able to see the different departments of my organization and the employees within them, and I can very quickly get a snapshot of the data that's collected. We've got built-in sentiment analysis to view what the user's been saying, and this is the actual data view of an organization that's built a program on Itheum. Now, if you are a user of one of these programs, you get access to your own portal as well, and this lets you see the program that you have joined, all the data that's been collected by you, and how you're tracking over time. So this is the idea that every user that joins a program built on Itheum gets their own portal and full visibility of the data. Okay, so now that you know what the core Itheum platform is, it is in summary, it is a platform that lets organizations build structured data collection, and users who join the structured data collection programs get full visibility of the data. Now, of course, what we always intended to do was to also allow the user who's joining these structured data collection programs the ability to sell their own data in the open market. And that's where we initially came up with the idea of the Itheum Data DEX, a decentralized exchange for the trading of personal data. And now I'm going to switch over to the demo and show you how the DEX is actually performing. So you come up to this website, it's a public URL, and you can authenticate with MetaMask. You need to be on the Robston testnet. That's where our smart contracts are deployed. So once I sign in, you'll notice that it logs in. So this is the home screen of the DEX. If you look at the top right, you can see the MYDA token count. So MYDA is the ERC20 token of the Itheum Data DEX. MYDA is shortened form for My Data, and I've got 156 tokens here. Now in the home page, there's two options here. Firstly, because we are in the testnet right now, you can request some test MYDA. Well, I'll just do that really quick now. So this is a very quick and seamless process. Okay, simple as that. So I've got 50 MYDA that's been applied to my account now. Now, the first thing you would want to do, of course, is try to sell some data. So I can go into the sell data functionality here. And as you notice, I have two options. I can sell any arbitrary data set. So it could be any data that I want to sell. Or we could even got an option now to sell your Facebook data, for example. So let's try these two options right now. So I'm going to just sell any random data, and you can drop any data file in here. I've got a simple JSON file which contains a bunch of user details, and I'm going to type in something like, let's assume this is the contact details of medical clinics, and I want to sell this data set. So I can view the whole data set here, and before I sell it, I'm going to specify the terms of use. So this is very important. So if somebody wants to buy this, they need to adhere to the terms of use. So at the moment, we only support 3, but over time, we're going to decentralize the terms of use functionality and make it more robust and support more options. So at this point, let's just say I'm only going to allow you to buy this data set for research purposes, and it gives you an estimated earnings in MYDA. Once I do this, what's happening right now is that the data set is being advertised for sale on chain, and you'll notice that's what's happening up here. So I can confirm that to happen real quick, and you'll see the transaction being published on the blockchain, awaiting confirmation. Okay, so that's done. Now when that data set has been placed for sale, before I jump over and show you how you can buy data, let's also look at this option of the ability to sell your Facebook data. Now, as you know, you can actually jump to your Facebook account and you can download your entire profile data as JSON files. So imagine you want to be able to sell this data on the Data DEX. You can do that, and as I'm about to demonstrate. So I've downloaded my profile data, and I'm going to go up here. I'm going to click on it, and I'm going to say my Facebook profile data. And I'm going to jump up here, go into the files that Facebook has given me to download. I'm going to upload my profile, and you see that's my entire profile information. And here I'm going to say, listen, I'm allowing you to use this for research and commercial purposes. I look at my MYDA earnings, and I'm going to place that for sale on the blockchain as well. Awesome. So we are now basically sold an arbitrary data set and my Facebook data. So let me just jump to the advertised data, and you'll notice now that if you scroll down to the bottom, you'll see that these are the two data sets that are placed for sale. And technically what's happened now is these are being advertised for sale. Now, if another user comes on to the Data DEX, they will see this and then they'll be able to purchase it. Before we look at that workflow, I also want to show you, let me jump back to home. Now, as I mentioned, the Itheum Data DEX allows you to sell your core Itheum data. So data collected from programs like OKPulse or the Radar Challenge and all the other programs that we have built over there. Now, as soon as you log in with your Itheum Data DEX, technically it'll try to link. It's linked to your core Itheum account, and if it recognizes you, it'll automatically load all your programs. But as I'm using a new address or a new account here, you'll notice that there is no linkage happened here. So it says, sorry, you don't have a Itheum platform account, but don't fret, you can still test it. So we built this functionality to let users temporarily link to an Itheum core account so they can try out the DEX using actual data collected from Itheum. So I can click on this button here, and very quickly you notice that it has linked a test account, and you can see all the programs that this test account is now linked to. And if you click on sell my data, you see you have many more options now of data to sell on the DEX. Blood pressure data, hypertension insights, pregnancy condition monitoring, chronic wounds healing. So all of this is actual data being collected as part of the core Itheum platform, which you can now sell in the open market. For example, I can click on here, and this loads all the data that's been collected over a very long period of time related to chronic wound healing tracking. So you can see it automatically generates a summary or preview of the data, that the 63 data points collected from this program between this and this date, and I can then put it for sale. Or I can look at, for example, OKPulse, which I mentioned is one of our most successful programs. We've got hundreds of users on this already. So if I click on this, you notice that it's going to load all my OKPulse data, basically all my employee wellness data, which is very valuable data. And you notice there's a bunch of data here. It gives you a quick snapshot. So let's say I'm going to allow for the sale of this data on a full license, and I can place that for sale again on the blockchain. Awesome. So that data has been placed on the blockchain as well. So if I go back to advertised data, and you notice that this 24 data points of OKPulse is now ready to be purchased by anybody who wants to do that. Now that I've shown you how to sell data, let's have a look at how you can buy data. And to do that, I need to log in with another Ethereum account so that I am able to purchase data. So let me very quickly swap my MetaMask to my main account and come back to the DEX, and let me log in to the DEX. As you notice, we got a lot more MYDA in this account, so we should be able to buy data sets very easily. Now, if I jump to the buy data account, you'll notice that the 3 programs or 3 data sets that we put up to sale using the other profile is now available for purchase. So I can buy all 3 of that. But before I do that, I want to try to pick up another data set and see if I can purchase it. So this is quite an old data set that has been placed up here. I'm going to try to buy this. And you notice that something happened here. So when I tried to buy it, it said that the data you're trying to purchase seems compromised. And this is because we ensure the validity of the data using blockchain-based verification. So in this case, what's happened is somebody had placed a data set, but had swapped out the file, and the DEX was able to determine that the actual file that's going to be transferred between the buyer and the seller is not actually what was initially advertised. So it lets you abort from that process. Now let's jump back to some of the new data sets that we created and we know that have not been tampered with. So let me buy the OK Pulse data set. So I click on here. So you notice what's happened here is that it's verified the data integrity on chain. It's checked the purchase requirements. And now it's authorizing the purchase for the data set. Okay, the authorization for the 2 MYDA is completed. Now the actual purchase is going to happen. The purchase is basically 2 MYDA is going to be taken away from the buyer and sent out to the seller. So I'm going to do that now, and the purchase is now happening on the blockchain. Awesome. So now we've finalized the purchase, and you notice my MYDA has dropped, and the actual seller of the data would have got 2 MYDA. Likewise, let's buy the Facebook dataset as well. Awesome. So we purchased the Facebook profile data as well. Now that I've purchased those datasets, if I jumped over to purchase data, I can look at the actual raw data. So this is the person's Facebook profile that I own now, as well as all the data collected through the OK Pulse program via Itheum, which I also own. I'm an owner now. Okay, so I hope that gives you an example of how to buy and sell data on the Itheum Data DEX. If you really try to assetize or make the personal data an asset that's very easily tradable and add some governance around it. Now, these are the two functionalities that I've showed you are the very basic functionalities. On the Data DEX, you are able to also look at all chain transactions that have happened as part of trade that's happening. So you can see all the data that's been advertised, all the data that's been purchased, the trade volumes that have happened. And the next features that I'm going to show you are things that we're working on right now. And this is what really makes the Itheum Data DEX quite cutting edge. Whereas we're looking at how user data could be traded safely and securely and with strong governance, and essentially enabling data sovereignty on a personal level. So one of the features we're working on next is called the Data Vault. Now, Data Vault allows you to store highly sensitive information within your data DEX. And the way we do that is to use your private key to encrypt it and then store it on IPFS. That way no one can take your data from you and no one can see your data. So really sensitive information like your gender, race, sexual preferences, prior health conditions could be stored here. And then you can append this data set to the actual data you're selling to make it more valuable. So you can read more about that in our white paper by clicking this link. So that's the Data Vault. The next feature we're working on is what we're calling data NFTs. Now, really personal or really sensitive information or high value information, you want to be able to control as you would control an NFT. So you want to mint a certain amount of these data sets and you want to limit the distribution of that. So that's a lot like an NFT. So we're going to allow you to do that and basically trade your really valuable data as an NFT would. So an example is, let's say you would upload your DNA data or any specific DNA insights. You could limit how many buyers can purchase it, and this functionality will allow you to do it. We will also make your personal data more akin to collectibles, right? If you think about it, your personal data is the most unique thing about you, so it's quite it's almost like a very rare asset that you want to trade. And we'll be integrating with Chainlink VRF to be able to generate this unique NFT data NFT. So you can read more about it in our white paper as well. Now jumping over to data streams. So data streams, what we have seen so far is the ability to sell data sets, so point-in-time data. But in reality, you might want to subscribe to a user's data stream. So as more data is generated as part of that program, you will automatically get access to it. So for example, if you would subscribe to the OK Pulse employee wellness data stream, as more data is generated, you get access to it. So we're moving away from personal one-off data sets into data streams, and we will be working on this feature as well very soon. Now I'm going to jump into our most advanced feature, which we are calling data coalitions. Now, if you can think about what you just witnessed, it was a individual user owning their own data and selling it on the blockchain. But in reality, this is quite a difficult or a very inefficient process. If I have to cherry pick my data and sell it off as a one-off data set and then monitor who's buying it, monitor the terms and conditions, it's not very efficient and it doesn't really represent what happens in the real world. Also, my individual data set is probably not worth as much as I think it is worth. But imagine if I could group my data with people who are similar to me. So now what we're having is a group of data sets. It becomes a lot more valuable because we're having a lot more data, a lot more outcome-oriented data, and something that could be used for deep analytics or trading AI algorithms. So that's where data coalitions come into play. So data coalitions are basically DAOs where I can align with, stake my MYDA, and give them responsibility to trade my data on chain. So the data coalitions you can vote and determine the terms and conditions of that coalition, and that coalition would group data that is similar to yours and allow it for trading in bulk. So essentially, you're allowing a coalition that you can align with or you agree with in terms of its terms and conditions of trade, and it trades on your behalf automatically and then dispenses or a share of the rewards to you. So this is one of our most advanced features we're working with. You can read more about it in our white paper. And finally, one of the other cool features we're working on is called the Trusted Computation Framework. Again, we're looking at Chainlink to power this. And this is, again, in the situation where I have really sensitive personal data that I don't want to share on chain. This can be for privacy reasons or sovereignty reasons, whereas the data cannot be placed publicly even though it's encrypted on chain. So a trusted computation framework will allow the jobs to be offloaded into a trusted computing network, and then the results of them brought back on chain. So this is again powered by Chainlink, and we'll start doing some early analysis into this. And that's it. So I hope you found that useful. This is the first video we are putting out to show you essentially version 1 of our DEX. We've really enjoyed working with Morales, which has really sped up the design and development of our DEX. And please watch this space where we'll start releasing our other features out to market very soon. Thank you for your time. Bye.